Good morning, Millennial Mortician, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of this incredible podcast. I know you could have decided to be anywhere, but today you decided to be with us, and for that, I am forever grateful. Well, first and foremost, before we hop into today's episode, I want to thank the sponsors of today's video, Favale Memorial Live Streaming. If you and your families need live streaming that's simplified and redefined, check them out at favale.org. Again, if you and your families need live streaming that's simplified and redefined, check them out at favale.org. Let's jump right into today's topic and episode. I think it's going to change your life, change your perspective, and give you new hope into the future. The title of today's episode is The Legacy You Leave Before You Leave. The Legacy You Leave Before You Leave. We spend so much of our lives thinking about what people will say after we're gone that we forget that we're writing our legacy every single day. It's important to remember that aspect of life because your legacy is like a book and it's constantly being written every single day with every single decision you make, big or small, seen or unseen. And just because people don't see what it took for you to come to that decision or that conclusion doesn't make it any less valuable. It's just another piece of your story and your legacy. Because every decision counts. Every business decision that we make in this industry matters. Every people decision matters. Every purpose decision matters. Even all the way down to if a corporation was doing a merger. All of those things matter. Everything has to be right, and everyone's looking out for their legacy and what story they tell in the end of it all. As funeral professionals, we have the unique privilege of seeing the end of thousands of stories. One thing becomes crystal clear to us is that people rarely remember someone for how much money they made or what title they had. They remember how they made others feel, how they treated people, and the impact they left behind. How you make someone feel, that's transformational, that's impactful, that's important. Because in a time of grief, sorrow, and sadness, people need to feel love. They need to feel connection. They need to feel like they can trust you with anything, any and all information they give you, and that you're going to be able to execute it at the highest capacity, at the highest level that you possibly can. So that feeling that we get when we work with families, that's the impact that's tingling on the inside of us to make a difference in their life. And how they're treated. People never forget how they're treated. They remember if you kind of rushed them or you weren't really listening or you kept making mistakes on things like vital statistic information. That's the treatment of people to that highest level of excellence, that you're listening, that you're paying attention, that you're giving them what they want and not what you want. And it's easy for a family to ask you, well, hey, what would you do? Or what do you decide? And you have to kindly remind them, this isn't my loved one. This isn't my service. This is yours. My responsibility is to give you all your options so you can pick what you feel comfortable with that meets the needs of you and your families. And my job is to be a guiding hand to guide you in the right direction. And lastly, the impact people leave behind. Hearing how their old basketball team or football team or their old coworkers or their neighbors felt about being in their presence, being around them, the legacy they felt like they were a part of that person's day-to-day life, a part of their legacy, a part of their impact. How do we nurture an environment where people can see what that person left behind? But the beautiful thing about legacy is that it's not something you build at the end of life. It's something you build today. You start now. You started when you went to mortuary college. You started when you passed that national board exam. You started when you passed your state board exam. You started when you did your apprenticeship. All those starts are weaving into a legacy well-earned and well-lived. And from that, you map out the rest of your history. Now that you have the credentials that you need to go from being good to being great. And remember, we're not caught up in titles and credentials. We're caught up in impact and in legacy and leaving something that people can feel forever. That's the point of this podcast. That's the point of you guys, the Millennial Mortician audience. We're leaving something people can feel forever. We're trailblazing our own way, a different route for people that has never been experienced before in funeral services. That's serious, that's intentful, that leaves meaning behind, that leaves trust, and that's trailblazing a new path forward. Whether you're a funeral director, a student, an entrepreneur, or simply someone trying to make a difference, ask yourself this question. If today became your last chapter, what story would people tell about you? This answer isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to motivate you. Because at the end of the day, you still have time to write another page. Well, I'm your host, everyone, Jaden Folks. This is the Millennial Mortician podcast, a podcast that engraves. And I hope it engraves you, your families, your friends, and your community, not just today, but in the days to come. What we do is important. The legacy is important. Encourage it, motivate it, revitalize it, edit it, but make it stronger. I love you guys. Hope today's episode changed your life and made an impact on your life. I'll catch you guys on the next one.